So hi and welcome to Homo Ludens, the channel on history and board games. And what we're doing today is something that we usually don't do on the channel. And I'm with Joe to do an unboxing of this very special game, a Gest of Robin Hood. And like for Red Flag over Paris, I love unboxing my own games, and those are the only games that I like to unbox. So sorry for others, but I think that unboxings are rather dull.
It's fortunate that you only produce a game every
3 years. So it's fine. So every 3 years on the channel, I would make an unboxing. And the idea is for Joe and I to actually go through the content, talk about it, and I can maybe explain a few things of what you're going to find in A Gest of Robin Hood.
Let's go.
So maybe I'll start by opening the plastic. And do you have any question to start with when I'm starting to unpack this?
Yeah, my first thoughts would be, I've noticed immediately, Fred, that on the back it says Fred.
Yes.
Who the hell is Frederick?
Yeah, I don't know. So Frederick is my alter ego. So that's my the other me that is actually doing all the design work, and I'm just the public figure. We are two twin brothers, Fred and Frédéric. So that's my French official name. And Fred is the name that I use for actually at work when I'm with English-speaking people. It's a lot simpler than to explain what does Frédéric and the accents and everything. But Chichu is, I think, Catalan. So for him,
that's the cover illustrator.
Yeah,
right?
The cover illustrator Chichu Nieto is Catalan. So for him, accents is probably a bit more natural.
Yeah.
And he actually put my full name. And I thought it was actually quite funny. And I noticed that there was a discrepancy between the front and the back. And I thought that's going to be a funny one. So I'm going to keep it in.
I like the authenticity of the traditional French name on a quintessential British or English,
Well, as I said multiple times on the show, I think most of British culture is actually French. So I think it does make sense.
Up until like the 1200s, I think you're right. Something else that's worth mentioning is the fact that this is the second game in the Irregular Conflict series.
Yeah, the first one was Vijayanagara, who's somewhere around here. It's actually over here. So the first one was Vijayanagara. Vijayanagara was the winner of the first Consim Game Jam. And yeah, it was also the first entry in the Regular Conflict series. We can show it here.
Show it there as well.
Whoop, if I can get... so this logo. And this is number 2, and number 3 should be Cross Bronx Expressway if everything goes well, and hopefully it should be released quite soon. And then we go into the different contents that we have. So this comes with 3 booklets: the rules of play, the learn to play, and the playbook. So the idea is that if you're used to wargame rules, you're probably going to read this, and that's going to be fine for you. And it's actually a pretty simple rule book for someone who's used to GMT rules book. Like, it's 9 pages of rules with a lot of illustrations, a lot of space, a lot of design notes and stuff like that. So it's very manageable, I would say. And and then you have like some key terms, you've got some diagrams for the setup, some counter scans, and a proposed setup to start with.
I love when this is really helpful in the British way as well.
Yeah.
Because this is like a classic thing with like maps, is like, why say when you can show? Yeah,
exactly, especially in a visual medium like this one. So that's the rule book, but actually for people who are not necessarily comfortable with wargame rule books, which is something that we recognize and we want to make an effort with, especially as A Gest of Robin Hood is also aimed at new players. Joe worked on a Learn to Play guide, which is a way more didactic way of learning the game, where you have an introduction, explains you how to win, explains you the different components, and then walk you through a round or a ballad, and actually goes through all of the rules so you can figure out in action how the game is actually running, and gives you some pretty good illustrations. So I think if you have never played a con game, you don't know GMT games and everything, read the Learn to Play and you know how to play the book, and then you look into the rules of play, and you'll be able to find a reference if you need something specific while you play.
Yeah, I think the feedback on this format will be super interesting, and it might indicate change for other GMT games, potentially, if it's received positively.
So Vijayanagara did this because Joe was also the developer on this one, Joe Dewhurst, and I think it works really well on Vijayanagara, so I was pretty excited for him to do the same thing on Gest. And then at the end of this, You actually have a teaching guide. So if you are teaching someone the game, it gives you some hints on how to teach the game to that person. And then you have one of Robin Hood's ballad from the 14th century.
So you're going to sing that out for us now, right?
Exactly, at the end for the outro. But it's also good so you actually have a bit of contact with the actual material that we're talking about. And finally, you have the playbook. And the playbook is really for you to discover, but the playbook is a lot of historical content. So some historiography of the character of Robin Hood, how it was represented, how it evolved, the different interpretation, the relationship with God, and all of those things. The thing that I'm really excited about is that Stephen Ronganzas, the designer of The British Way, also did a political science article about the figure of Robin Hood, which is super interesting, very well documented, as pretty interesting. I won't say anything about this, you'll have to discover, that's a surprise. More historical notes about the cards. And here Joe wanted to add something that I think was really smart, which was adding some tips on how to use the cards and why they can be relevant. So you have everything for all of the cards, and then you've got the designer notes and different kind of stuff, and a nice pictures of the creative couple here. So that's for the playbook. And then, well, you've got the two-player boards.
Fantastic.
Actually pretty thick.
Yeah, these are great.
Are actually great. They look awesome. So at the back you have the setup and an opening strategy.
Really annoying when games have something that you want to flip between on your player board while having something you only need at the start of the game.
So this you only needed to start at the start of the game. So you have your setup, you do your setup. This is inspired by Root, clearly. And then you have an opening strategy. So if you don't know what to do, for example, for Robin Hood, we give you 3 possible opening strategy. A classic one, a more balanced or more aggressive. And then if you don't know how to play the game, it gives you a bit of a hint of what you can do to start with. And then this one is the one for the sheriff. Same, you place your forces and everything. It reminds you all of the different actions that you can make, the plots and the deeds. And same, gives you a setup and gives you opening strategy for you to figure out how to play the first few rounds. Counter sheet. So those are the counters to say if the parishes are submitted or revolting, you have a few spares. Those are triggered via events. This is for the royal inspection. Those are the hidden carriages, and this is the money because it's the first coin game with actual coins. So
revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
I mean, what was Volko thinking?
I have no idea, honestly. I think it's baffling that he hadn't considered putting coin in coin games. But yeah, that's it. So that's the first thing. And finally, not finally, but importantly, the map, the one that I've been... No, keep this here so I can put it on top.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah. And so this is the map by Chechu Nieto. Chechu, amazing graphic designer. This is just magnificent. The work that he's done on here, I think it gives the game a whole different...
Great form factor as well, great size. Exactly. Not super massive.
You have this tug of war scoring system that you have here, and then you've got this initiative track that is directly taken from The British Way, from Stephen Ronganzas. Excellent innovation and simplification of the coin initiative track. Then you've got a small reminder of how the royal inspection goes, the prison, and then you've got all the different spaces on the board. Here you place your use carriages during the game and everything. I'm super excited about this board. Actually seeing it in real life now looks I'm a bit emotional because it looks quite amazing, and I'm pretty excited to play it. It's really great. It's quite fantastic. Very excited about those. So those are player screens. So each of the players are going to have a 2-fold player screen with some of the illustrations that are on the cards. And the thing that I wanted to have that I thought was interesting was to do it a bit like in a role-playing game. You actually have the rules reminders at the back, so a bit like if you were a GM, so you have this in front of you, but you actually have extra information, so you don't have to flick through the rule book. Almost all of the game is in there and on your board, so that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, these are good.
Yeah, they're really nice. They're really nice. I'm really happy with those. I think it's quite great. They look great, and we'll look at this later. But quite importantly, we have the custom dice. So the custom dice for when you rob. So white is going to be when you rob in a space.
Wait, what did you get?
That is
nice one.
That is not favorable to you, and this is the more positive dice. Actually, no. So yeah, screen printed custom dice, very cool. Oh, and this is the nice stuff. So those are a few pieces. So that's the.
Oh, this one's good.
Yeah, this is the marker, initiative marker for Robin Hood.
This one as well.
This one is the victory point. Go on. This one is the victory point
that one's nice.
tracker, very nice. Also screen printed, so that's really cool.
Yep.
And the things that I would like to show is...
These are great.
Maybe this. Oh, that's perfect. Yes, very good. So you have two types of guerrilla in the game. You've got the classic Merryman guerrilla that you can see here, but then one of them is the secret Robin Hood guerrilla. So you can see there are two different symbols, and that's part of the hidden movement mechanic. The art is just amazing on those. And then a bit of a surprise and a bit of a wink to Volko. The counterinsurgency pieces are a pale blue, like the police in most of his coin games, but they have a wage format, like the knights in Levy and Campaign.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of Levy and Campaign and coin pieces. So pretty happy with those. They look, those pieces actually look quite amazing. It's quite something. So we're gonna move this.
Some baggies.
There are some baggies. Baggies are back. And then what do I want to say? But then we can maybe have a quick look at the cards. So the
Something
cards,
immediately noticeable about these cards.
they were tarot sized. Yes. So that's going to make some people upset, but I think it's really important for the game that they were tarot sized. I wanted to have bigger cards.
It opens up more space for great art as well.
Yes, exactly. So the art for each of those cards, we have art that has been done by Robert Albauer, who's also the illustrator that works on Levy and Campaign. He's done, I think, stunning artwork. Like for each of those cards, you have... So he's taking the medieval style of drawings, but he's actually applying to something a bit more modern take on it, but still pretty cool.
I think that's nice, rather than trying to go for like a incredibly authentic, you're always going to make some mistakes, so why not like lean into it?
Yeah, lean into, and that's also the thing that I think is really interesting with Robin Hood, is that as designer, you can actually go into the story world and actually make it your own. So I thought it made sense to actually have a modernish take on a more medieval aspect of Robin Hood. And I think the cards are pretty great.
I really like those backgrounds.
Yeah, the backgrounds are amazing. And the way card works is pretty much like a standard coin game. So if you can see here, you can see that there is an illustration at the top, a title. Oh, maybe that's a bad example. Actually, this is a better example. And then you have two options for the event. You've got a light one that is favorable to Robin Hood, a dark one that is favorable to the sheriff. And if one of the players takes the trigger event action, they will trigger the event of their faction. And then an innovation also, so it's not a classic coin game in a lot of ways. And one of this is that you have those events that are called fortune events that are triggered whatever happens. So as soon as you flip them, you resolve what's on there.
That's
it
cool.
breaks a bit the classical tempo of coin games and adds a bit of narrative into the play. So pretty happy about those. The illustrations look just amazing on those tarot size cards. It's really, really cool. There are quite a few secret meanings hidden in the cards, so I'll let people explore them, trying to find things in the details that to see what they can actually discover. But I'm really happy with how those turns out. And finally, King Richard's Return, so that will always be your final card of the game, King Richard's Return, and then he decides which he favors, either the sheriff or Robin Hood.
I don't want to be. I've been particularly careful with them because I feel like to put a hole through the.
I would be quite upset. And those are the traveler cards. So this is another specificity of this game, is that there is a whole traveler mechanic, so you can rob travelers, and same travelers are going to be people that you encounter. You're going to have different options, light and dark options. The dark option is more risky, but provides more benefits. And you have, and some of those travelers are going to come in only through events. Same, adding some narrative, taking some characters from the ballads, and really diving into the Robin Hood lore. And I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, the insert is actually also quite nice, I must say. It's really, really well made. I'm super happy. I guess we're probably going to play it right after this, so we can have a quick game of it. I hope that you enjoyed that unboxing. Of course, if you have any question, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I will answer them as soon as I see them. And I guess that now that it is being shipped, you should expect probably the game to be shipping to consumers probably in a couple of months from now, something like this. So it's not going to have... It's not gonna come straight away, but it's on its way from China, and you'll soon have it into your own hands. And I'm looking forward to see what you're gonna do with it. That's gonna be actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Looking forward to all that, and yeah, super happy. Second game, so that's gonna be I'm just excited.
Checkpoint in the design life.
Yes,
of
exactly.
Frédéric Servan.
Oh, Frédéric Servan. Yeah. But any questions before we conclude?
I would say my only question would be based on the reception of Red Flag Over Paris.
Yeah.
How are you? Is that helped you think about how this will be received, or does it feel very completely different?
I think it feels quite different. Even if for me there are some of the same ideas that made me make this game and made me want to make Red Flag Over Paris. So there is the same reflection behind it, but they are in the end two very different games. So I expect people who play it might be different people. So I don't expect to be necessarily exactly the same audience.
Well, that's because no one's going to be a fan of you.
No, probably not. There is that. And I think that I think a Gest of Robin Hood, because of its theme, because of the art that was there, because how accessible it is, might also reach a wider audience that Red Flag Over Paris didn't, because it was a very specific topic and not necessarily a type of game that people would engage that much with.
Yeah.
Like, it was a bit more of a niche audience.
Yeah,
it did well, but it was not really for the same kind of people.
Yeah, Red Flag Over Paris, is educating people on something that they didn't know about already, whereas Gest of Robin Hood is really
everyone knows about Robin Hood. It's just giving them a different view of it and enables them to have fun with it, and hopefully is an awesome introduction into the coin system. But yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Joe, for being here. Looking forward to play with you.
Yes, I'm very excited.
In half an hour, probably, something like this. And thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good. Now I can synchronize everything. Great. Whoa.
Your fat ass.
Yeah. I'm a bit too fat.
It's too thick. You walking around with that.
I'm a thick boy. Yeah, people don't realize this because they only see the top. But
He's walking around with a dumper truck ass all day. Oh my god.
Pretty thick.